And then you just and you focus on what's going to make the country better, going to raise people out of poverty, what is going to do this, what is going to do that. Why don't you spend $1 trillion on war? Hell no, that's a waste of money. What?
It was very kind of all of the viewers last week to subscribe to Dan,
Oh,
and
I know. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna have I'm gonna have to ask you to do it again, because
Oh,
there are places that YouTube channels go that they never come back from, folks. Dan's channel went into the Bermuda Triangle. No, it went into another dimension. Ding 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 ding
another.
ding 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 ding, ding. And he's back down. He's back down at 38 subs. There is a link in the description box. And we had a rally. We rallied him up over 100 subs. I think a few days later he was almost at 200.
The
So
truth is out there.
Dan's YouTube channel link is now in the live stream. If you subscribed last week, forget about it. You need to resubscribe. That one is gone. And
I have to say, I mean, obviously YouTube is huge. It's like Walmart. Like if you sell, fine, but the hell with you. Like it's in aisle 7. We cleaned it up. We're not really concerned. But I also, my wife pulled up this doc on Netflix about Piper Rockville Kidfluencers and this thing that they did with, and I'm thinking these sons of bitches never got canceled, and I got canceled. Like, what the hell? These guys are predators, users. I mean, I don't know what I don't. Maybe I put up too many posts on video.
let's
I
let's
don't
not
know.
give
I
any
don't even
let's
know.
not let's not give anyone any ideas.
Right.
I'm gonna I'm gonna
Right.
you've had
Exactly.
you've had a few interesting questions and comments coming from the viewers. And viewers, if you have got any questions for Dan, Dan has studied Russian history and literature at Harvard University, so he can answer everything from
Wait a minute,
geopolitics
Sean.
to the works of Dostoevsky. And he also speaks 5 languages, so he can respond to you in all kinds of interesting dialects. Anyway, put your questions and your comments in the chat for Dan. All right, so here we go.
Здравствует наука.
Dos Svidania. About half of all agricultural land in Ukraine belongs to 3 large American companies: Cargill, DuPont, and Monsanto. Have you looked into any of that, Dan?
This is kind of par for the course. Yeah, they that's one of the reasons that they are pushing this so hard. I mean, to be honest, when you go like this is what the railroad companies did in the American West is they bought patches of land on either side of the railroad leading out all the way. And so they own the future. They own the policy. They own the government, the politics. And that's still the reality. They want Donbass. There are posters going back to the Soviet era where, they have Donbass presented as the heart, and they have a literal heart, the heart of the Soviet Union, and pumping out all of this production, all of these natural resources. Like, this is a real thing. You simply cannot keep provoking and keep pursuing these insane policies forever. And he doesn't realize, and nobody that, I mean, they've been getting away with, you can, all that tariff crap about the imbalance of trade and reciprocation and all this fake math. They are sweeping under the rug how they have taken advantage for decades, and now people are sick of it. and they're not going to take it. And so you can't keep pushing. That's just reasonable human thought. It's not. It's not even an ideology. That's what's so amazing. That's why Russia and China will never be split up the way they want to, because it's not about ideology, even. It's about the crazy brother in law who seems to show up at every wedding, get drunk, and start swearing. Like, what? This guy, we got to get rid of him. Oh, no, but then you're going to lose. Well, we have the farm, and he has half title to this and that. It's complicated, and
So,
if
so
you
you
flip
know,
it, you're making it less complicated. Good luck.
my background is in economics, and I remember studying the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which is they still debate. Economists are still debating to this day about the effects on the Great Depression. Some believe that it exacerbated the Great Depression because of the retaliation, but it's a bit of a wild card, isn't it? It depends how the other players react.
Yeah, I mean that's what the Kindleberger spiral is about. If they react, and then you have less output, and then you have reciprocal tariffs, and then you have continuing failure in output, you do get what I don't know that Smoot Hawley caused it, but between 1929 and 1933, you had a decrease from 3 billion to 1 billion, 2/3. 3 billion to 1 billion in international trade, right? That's like the economy just goes poof. And that isn't, that's not how stuff works. If you do that, here's another thing, right? I'm talking about Smoot-Hawley and the Kindleberger effect. There's three times the uh, concentration of U.S. wealth or trade in international trade. It was 6% then. Now it's 15, something like that. I don't know. I read a lot and then I forget. That's the first is from my upbringing and the second is from my age. I don't get it. But we are a lot more engaged and dependent on international trade and its effect on our economy. So this is even scarier a gamble than Smoot-Hawley.
I've put the spiral on the
But what,
screen.
Sean?
The
What
kin,
are we
the
talking about?
kin,
He just
the,
stopped it.
the
He
kin. I
stopped
put
it. Like who?
I,
Who?
Daniel. One second. We
Okay,
like we
well,
like
go
to
ahead. Go
learn.
ahead.
We
Go
like we like to learn something new
ahead.
on this channel. We like to learn something new, and I've put the picture of the Kindleberger spiral
Well, you're welcome.
on the screen. On the screen. Could you just explain this, please? The spiral.
Well, it's just a give and take. That you have a tariff, then you have a reciprocal tariff. You have a decrease in output because where's the market? Then you have acceptance of even more tariffs and further output reduction, and it's just that's how generally things work if you're in a trade war. Like it's not it doesn't go well unless you want it to. And you look at what China and the US are aiming at is just freezing each other's. Fine, you don't trade with us, we won't trade with you. I mean, look at Nixon from 76, who decided to split the Soviets from the Chinese by embracing them and welcoming them into the world community, right? Started this thing where the Chinese are like, okay, fine. We'll do what you do, only smarter and better, and for a lot longer, and for the good of our people. Holy shit. You know what? This market thing really works a little bit. You just have to tamper with it, shoot a few billionaires because they're crazy. And then you just, and you focus on what's going to make the country better, going to raise people out of poverty, what is going to do this, what is going to do that. Why don't you spend $1 trillion on war? Hell no. That's a waste of money. What? And you look at the 6 trillion that the West has spent in capitalist America and its vassal states, and look at what China has done in the meantime with similar trillions. And that's like, I don't, it's not even hard to explain if you just look at it and say, oh, okay. So currently, what you see is the Chinese have accepted everything. Said, well, okay, we'll deal with the WHO, we'll deal with this, we'll deal with that, we'll deal with whatever. What do you do? Oh, it all goes in the dollar? Oh, well, that's weird. Oh, okay, but I guess you're the kingpin. We'll deal with that. And for many, many years, and China is certainly not alone in this, that all countries are like, oh, well, why? We have our own money. Why is it always the dollar? Shut up. You do dollars or you die. Oh, all right. Well, all right, fine. And now, 50 years later, you've developed this, and now you're saying, get out. Why won't people say, well, the hell with you then? I don't know. Russia can pay in rubles and we can pay in yuan, and we're fine. We're rupees, we're fine. And what the biggest challenge, I think, to prevent like the implosion of the world. I mean, this is, like Pinky in the Brain. Like, this is the paper mache world that's going to just implode. The only thing is that crazy brother in law meme that I floated a few minutes ago. How do you let him down and get out of it? Okay. So you're good, right? Okay, so I'm just saying you're not gonna chase us down or kill us or anything. We're just gonna go over here, and that is essentially what's happening. They can't pull. They have $750 billion in bonds that they could sell like that. They don't need this crap. And they have played along and played along and played along. And I don't think it's Trump personally at all, although he's a terrible frontman. They have never won that lottery as well as they did with Obama, and they never will. It's like Seinfeld trying to produce another show as big a hit. Is they don't have X. X. What is X? Well, we don't know. But he had it. He had it. He could smooth it out and do exactly what the ruling class wanted, but sell it. And he knew that was his job, and he did it A to Z. Trump is terrible. He's a terrible salesman. I mean,
let me read another comment. So Polly has said China spends 4 times on education than the military. USA is the opposite. They spend 4 times on military than education. So imagine if Trump took that $1 trillion and spent it on colleges, infrastructure, housing, hospitals, schools, and all the jobs that would create. Because
yeah, but Elon Musk said that that's all a waste of money. He already told us. And you're going to get, Sean, you are going to get $5,000. Yeah, exactly.
it's a waste of money when they say they're spending it on something, but they're putting it in their own pockets. And I think a lot of the money that goes to these military contracts gets put in their own pockets, and it doesn't create jobs. But if you're actually properly investing in infrastructure, it should create a hell of a lot more jobs and have an effect on the economy, give the economy a good boost.
Well, let me just add a tiny thing about education, because this is obviously it's what me and my wife have done to earn a non-living for many years, and we're here in Massachusetts, which is a far left blue state, real absolute paragon of blueism, whatever that means. And they just came out with a report on reading levels, and it's shocking. Now we just kind of shake our heads, but like almost half of fourth graders generally in public education in Massachusetts are behind grade level. When you add uh, economic disadvantage from economically disadvantaged families, it rises to 80%. This is not Mississippi. I don't say that in hostile terms, but this is the one of the bulwarks of education on the national and international scale. This is where some of the greatest universities in the world are set. And it is a fully opposition nowadays, opposition controlled environment. So it's not about where Trump spends his money. I really think it's important that people understand that. We had all those uh, Trump rallies, anti-Trump rallies last weekend, and they had signs that said Putin's puppet and hands off NATO, hands off NATO. Like what? Apparently, you are those fourth graders from 15 years ago, and you never learned to F and read. Like what the hell?
Were they chanting? Were they chanting? We want World War III. We
Yeah,
want World War III.
that's what they should have been chanting. And it is really like a color revolution for the party out of power. Just fake and unreasonable. And I cannot suppress my natural instinct to empathize with people who feel that. They may, act and vote and seem conservative. It may seem like they're red. First of all, they have no choices. So they go with whatever the opposite of the current is. So they come across as Republicans. But when you talk to them one on one, they make a lot more sense than the Kool-Aid drinkers. Like it's just like, no, that's stupid. That's stupid. You shouldn't listen to that. We should be doing something else. You're right. And it's a hard truth.
So, can I just give you the other side of this? Because I was just listening to Bannon on GB
Oh, I
News.
love Steve. He's a good friend of mine, Steve.
Well,
Stevie.
he was giving the economic argument for the tariffs, and the history that he laid down was that in previous administrations going back decades, you've got the gutting of US industry as the elites have used the slave labor of China to maximize their profits. So he said that Trump, through the tariffs, is trying to reverse that by getting the reindustrialization of the USA by raising these penalties for companies and rewards for companies if they're coming back, relocating the car manufacturing or whatever it is in America. So what do you say to Bannon's economic argument then?
Welcome to 1350. And we'll see you again in 1425 when we've done what we've done. Everybody has read about protectionism. Everybody knows that in medieval England, you got your hand cut off if you sold imported wool, yada yada. And in from a left perspective, as from the unions, uh, they were in favor of protectionism for a long time because of this. But guess what? That was 45 years ago. That cannot. Okay, Trump wants to. No, Steve, darling, you're lying. Trump does not want to do that. He doesn't know it. He doesn't care. He's using it as a prop. And this is the problem. I was on Press TV last week with someone who came up with this idea, right? That Trump is the only one they trust. He is a push. He's a pusher, and so he would do something radical and crazy. Well, he also would do something stupid because he's rich and he doesn't care. What about Smoot-Hawley? What about the Depression? What about any recession? What about the deaths of millions of people that are traceable to economic downturns that are never counted? Even the middle class, and certainly the ruling class and the elite, never count the actual victims of their policies. First of all, there's a reason that this can't be done. And it's not the Chinese memes. Have you seen these? These are hilarious. TikTok things of like some fat white guy sitting in doing things on an iPhone. And like this is completely unreasonable and it's never going to happen. But part of the problem is that you spent 50 years bankrupting and exporting all of that industry. There are no factories. This is a country with no bridges. There's a $1 to $3 trillion deficit in maintaining water systems. You're gonna have factories overnight with no. And if you do it, if it's right, if Bannon is right and Trump is right, and it takes what, 10, 20, 50 years? That's why I made my medieval joke at the beginning, 1350 to 1425. How many millions of people will be dead before that happens? You know what the road to reindustrialization looks like? Starvation, poverty, death by lack of health care, all sorts of. It is not, it is a pipe dream. You cannot think in those terms unless you don't really care about people, which is where we started, right? With the 50% probability. They really don't care about people, Sean.
All
And
right. What do you
you
say
can
to?
change the math, you can do all that, but think about your grandmother. Just stop and think about your family. Think about other humans that are going to count on the dole or on Social Security, that do not have a private island and do not have an endless stream of inherited money. What does their life look like? That's the passion. That's the litmus test of
What do you
politicians who don't deserve to be killed. Oh,
What do you say to Sophie has put a comment, it's on the screen. I still think the world is safer with Trump in the White House than Kamala. What do you say to that?
I couldn't vote for her. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I, I'm not gonna. I am not. I think that the dichotomy is a sham. Period. And I think that it will take time for Sophia and myself even to settle in to the idea like, whoa, we're in a mess, man. Just because we didn't vote for Kamala doesn't mean we don't have the worst option available. And
But
I've said this for years.
Wouldn't Kamala already have us at world war with Russia?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's yes. I think that there was. I mean, now, and Sean, it's hard to say. All the weapons that have been delivered to Ukraine up to this point were pushed through by Biden in the last month, and there's no telling what he would have done if he were reelected or if she were elected, because that's changed the whole baseline, right? You have to, like, whoa, we got to get it all through now. And they were on a trajectory that was pretty crazy.